Hey YouTube, I'm back. This is part 2, dose, of our hair weaving 101 class today, which is talking about hair, different types of hair that are out there on the market. It'll have a cute title. I think it'll be Remy and More. Yeah, Remy and More. That is today's class, Remy and More. And we're going to talk about the different types of hair. So we last talked about Remy hair, non-Remy hair, the three qualities, quality A, quality B, quality C, single draw, double draw, and non-Remy hair. Covered all that. We're now going to talk about synthetic hair. Okay, what is synthetic hair, people? Well, the name should say it all. Synthetic is obviously a hair that is artificially created. It is not human hair. It's not shaved off someone's head. There you go. Now, let me tell you, synthetic hair uses in a wide array of synthetic fibers. You have polyester, you have nylon, you have yarn, you have thread, specifically silk threads, you have all kinds of, the sky's the limit. And the different types of synthetic hair that are out there comes in a wide array of things. Just like human hair, it can come in a weft, a weave form, and single strands for braids. Okay. Now the hair doesn't last very long. It's quick to get damaged from the sun. If it's superly maintained well, it can last up to a year. It just kind of depends on what you're doing with it. It'll never look like human hair, I promise you. It's stiff. It doesn't have any bounce. It's very much less expensive. You can get synthetic hair for as little as 99 cents up to $20 per pack. Around $40 for a full wig, depending on the quality, length, and brand, etc. All that. You cannot apply heat to synthetic hair. It should never be using synthetic hair. Now they have newer versions of synthetic hair that claim that you can style it at lower temperatures, but if you smell your hair melting, well, guess what? You can't curl it. So my rule of thumb is, get the synthetic hair that you want already styled, period, and keep going. Synthetic hair, you have several different types. You have the general polyester synthetic hair. It comes in big jumbo braids usually, that's used for braiding. Those of us that was getting braids in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s know exactly what I'm talking about. For real, we all did it. That stuff used to break and cut through your hair because it's polyester, and that's how it rolled. Next you have Calculon or Calculon, depending on how you pronounce that. And I'm sure someone's going to send me, it's pronounced like this, baby, everyone pronounced it differently, so there you have it. But tell me your pronunciation anyway, and I'll put it up there, and people can figure out which dialect they want to use to say the word. And Toikalon, which are a little bit higher grades. The difference is that Calculon is softer. It's a little bit softer. Toikalon is almost like Barbie doll hair, basically. But unlike Barbie doll hair, it isn't stiff and brittle. It does tangle, like, immensely. After that, you have different types of synthetic hairs that are pre-braided, pre-styled. Hair pieces like ponytails, things of that nature. Dreadlocks that can be crocheted or latch hooked in. They're all different types of synthetic hairs that are out there on the market. But like I said, it's synthetic hair. You have to be really careful with it. It doesn't curl. It can't really endure a lot of washing and all that mess. Alright, next up, we're going to talk about human hair. Now, the human hair shaft is made up of a dead hard protein called keratin that is in 3 layers. The inner layer is the medulla, and it might not be present. The next layer after that is the cortex, and then there is the outer layer, which is the cuticle layer, which I believe is correct. I'm pretty sure it is, I promise you. The cortex makes up the majority of the hair shaft, okay? And the cuticle is formed by tightly packed scales that, like I said, that are overlapping. They look kind of like shingles on a roof. Most hair conditioning products that are out there affect the cuticle. Okay, and they're pigment cells that are distributed throughout the cortex and the medulla that gives the hair its characteristic color. So that determines, if you're a red, if you are a brunette, if you're a blonde, if you're a variation of one of the others. I mean, that's really what it does. The thing about the hair cuticle is that it's the outermost part of the hair shaft. It's a hard single layer, and the overlapping cells are like 5 to 12 deep, I think. It's formed from dead cells, which form the scales that give the hair shaft the strength, and it provides protection for your hair. The hair cuticle is the first line of defense against forms of damage, and it acts as a protective barrier of the inner structures of the medulla and the cortex. The cuticle is responsible for the basic strength of the hair fiber. A healthy cuticle is, it's a structure that controls water content. Damn, I cannot speak this morning, y'all. Of the fiber, much of the shine and healthiness that is seen reflected, that people go, oh, your hair is so beautiful, it's so shiny, so this. Well, the cuticle is responsible for that. Okay, it is. Now, when it comes to the hair and being in the hair industry, the only way to really get the very best hair with the cuticles intact and facing the same way is basically to companies will use the services of hair collectors who cut the hair directly from people's heads and form a ponytail. And the hair is called a virgin cuticle hair, or just cuticle hair. Let's see where we're at on time, kids. I know y'all like, damn, for real, but hey. Alright. Most human hair weaves and wigs are derived from Asia, period. China, India, Korea is mostly where a lot of the hair comes from. There's actually a special ceremony in India where people go in and they shave their heads to appease their gods and to bring prosperity and things of that nature. I think widows are required to shave their heads in India. If someone knows if that's true or not, let me know, but I believe so. I believe I read this somewhere. I'm going to try to look that up and see if that's accurate. But I do know about the ceremony, and I can't remember the actual name of it. If you watch the documentary Good Hair by Chris Rock, it's funny. They talk about it when they talk about weaves. And it's collected from the barber's floor or Indian temple, and it's usually aggressively treated with acid and other chemicals, which destroys the cuticle either partially or totally. And this is where the low quality hair comes in, and sometimes, and we'll talk about this more, but lower quality hair usually is when we talk about the wordplay, we'll talk more in depth about it, but sometimes the least expensive hair is mixed with synthetic or animal hair, like yak hair. Not people are like, oh my god, horsehair. No, I don't know of any hair companies that do. There may be some, but I don't know. But yak, definitely, that's why it's called yaki. Yeah. And this is called processed hair. Processed hair comes in a variety of textures. Yaki, which closely resembles African American relaxed hair. You have silky, which resembles Asian hair. You have the European texture hair. Not to be confused with authentic European. Because this particular European hair is coming directly from like China or India, period. And then you have curls that range from like really tight corkscrews to like varied degrees of loose waves. And then you have crimps. And we all know what a crimp is. If you don't know what a crimp is, well, get with it. I will tell you what a crimp is later. Alright, so let me wrap up the human hair part, which is, you have the Remy, Remy means that, the cuticles are all facing the same direction that they're grown. But the sad thing is that it's not really an accurate terminology anymore. The word Remy is really kind of abused in the market, and it usually is followed by a word like processed, hair on the package, quality, something other than, and we'll talk about that more in wordplay. So to recap, we've talked about synthetic hair, we've touched a little bit on synthetic hair, we've touched a little bit on human hair, and we talked about some interesting facts about both of those. The next segment that we're going to talk about real briefly is Indian and European hair, and I'm going to give you a quick synopsis about what the difference is on those. So I'll be back in a little bit, and I will talk to y'all later.